Peace and love, everyone. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, please like and subscribe. And I am so delighted to be here with you all on this lovely Thursday in July. And July is a very powerful month energetically. It's a lot of Syrian energy, and it's a lot of light codes and changing frequencies taking place right now. And something that I wanted to speak on today is the power of the words that we use and the power that we use in our names. What we call ourselves and which we call ourselves and collectively, because all of us have several different identities. We have our own personal self identity, but we also have ethnic identities. We have cultural identities. Some of us have religious and spiritual identities. We have geographical identities. We have many, many. And there's so many things that make us who we are. But one thing we all share is that we have a name. We have something that we call ourselves, we're called by. We have our own individual names, as well as the names that identify the groups that we say we belong to, whatever you want to call them. I know it's so many different ways to define that. But remember, a name is powerful. There is a saying that a good name is worth more than gold. And that is a very, very powerful statement because it is true. What you say and what you speak has power. So we know that what we say, the words that we say, come from a higher place because your thoughts condition your words. So when people talk, the way they talk and the things they say is a reflection of what they are thinking. If you want to know what's going on in someone's mind, all you got to do is talk to them and listen to what they're saying, and they will express themselves because they're really expressing their thoughts, their emotions, their spirit. That's why, some people who speak nothing but negative things and say foul things or low vibrating things all the time, that's because that's their frequency. That's their thoughts. That's what they're thinking. That's how they're acting. And, their thoughts are conditioning their words and their actions. So if you ever want to know what's on someone's mind, all you got to do is start talking to them, engage them in a conversation. Thus, that is also true for if we flip it to the positive. So if you want to change your life, change your surrounding, change the way, change anything, you got to start with your thinking, change the way you think. So as the saying, as a man thinketh or as a woman thinketh, so are they. The same is true with when it comes to your name. A good name is worth more than gold because your name will live on after you. Gold represents riches and material possessions, and that comes and goes. However, your name and the essence of your name will live on after you because your name speaks to who you are, and it also your name carries your legacy. If you've done things, you've done works, your name will go down in history, and people will remember you for your name. So names have power, which is why it's so important that you choose good names for your children, and you can also choose good names for yourself. Many of us, many parents are not always mindful of that when they're choosing names. Sometimes people choose names because it sounds good or it's a tradition, it's passed down from generation to generation. We always name people after the grandparent or whatever the case may be. But there's power in the names, and we must be mindful when we're choosing names for our children that we choose proper names, names that resonate with the child. And I know it's not always easy to know that child's frequency for some people when they, initially are born. But, if you have a spiritual connection with your child, then you will know and you'll be guided to choose the right names for them. And some spiritual people say that we actually choose our names, that, the parents are guided to certain names because that's something that the soul wants to be called in this lifetime. You know, that's a whole nother discussion for another day. But when you are having children, be mindful of the names that you want to give them, and the life that is attached to that name. And names have many different meanings. They the sound and the utterance of the name carries power and carries a frequency and a vibration. So that is another reason why you want to choose names that have a high vibration, that are powerful, that are uplifting, that have a good meaning. Don't just give a child a name because it sounds good to you, solely for that, or you want to name them after someone. So, be mindful of that. Also, when it comes to naming yourself, many of us, like I said, we have many identities. And when we take on new lifestyles, or when we go through certain transitions in life, we may want to choose a new name for ourselves, or somebody will give us a name or choose a name for us, depending on the situation, the culture, and the tradition. And when honoring that, that's good. But also remember that those names must be an accurate reflection of you. Those names must be, when choosing those names, put some thought and mindfulness and care into the choosing of those names, so that the name really resonates with that person and represents them, because you should be the embodiment of your name. So if you're choosing a new name for yourself, or someone is, if you're choosing a name to give someone else, really reflect on that. Does this name resonate with that person? Does it accurately describe them? Is it something that they can live up to? Because a lot of people choose these wonderful, powerful names, but really think about, can you live up to that when you're choosing that for yourself? We all have growth and development that we're going through, but just be mindful of that. These names should really represent us, and should be, things that we can aspire towards as well. So remember to choose a name, because the name can either build or destroy. Remember that when you're choosing any name, even if you're naming something like you open a new center, you have the grand opening, you want to give it a name, or you start a new business and you want to, you unclear the name. Remember, the name can build or destroy. With that in mind, I hear a lot of people, particularly people of color, using derogatory terms to address one another and to describe themselves or identify themselves. And then, some people, I've had this debate with many people over years, and some people will say, well, we're taking a negative word that has a negative connotation and we're giving it a new meaning or a new connotation. And it only has power when you use it negatively or whatever. But you got to look at words, which are sounds, and sounds carry vibrations and frequencies. I've done other videos on that. You can go, all of you who have subscribed to my channel, y'all been watching, but if you're new, go back in the homepage and you can see some previous videos that we've done here at Astro Healing Arts on the power of words and the frequency of words. Like King Ade said, that using words, speaking and writing words is a form of spelling. And so if you want to bring something into the physical, you have to write it down, because that's how powerful words are. And the words that we speak, especially the spoken word, is very powerful. So if you're constantly calling yourself something that has a negative vibration, or calling other people something that has a negative vibration, you're actually, in a sense, cursing that person, and you're saying this negativity over and over again, and you're creating a negative environment, a negative atmosphere, a negative frequency, surrounding it. So if you think you're just the B word, I hear women say, I'm a bad bitch, or I'm this or that. The things that people say, be mindful of what you say. You can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. You can call yourself whatever, but think about what you're saying and what the words mean and the origin of those words. And, you know, whether you are using it for good or not, just think about the frequency and the vibration those words carry, because you're calling yourself that, and you're calling other people that might be your ace or your best friend or your sister or your homeboy, or your whatever. You're calling them this. What is that word saying to them? And like I said, the words come from our minds, come from our higher selves, our spirit. So here, you are thinking in your mind something negative about this person, and then or yourself, and then you're saying it. So what is it that you're really saying when you call yourself, and when you say I'm a queen, or I'm a king, or I'm an emperor, or I'm a god or a goddess, or I'm the B word, or I'm a NIGGA, or I'm this or that? What are you saying in yourself, in your mind, and in your heart, and in your mind, your from your higher self, your spirit? What are you saying about yourself and what you think about yourself? As a man or woman thinketh, so are they. What you are, what you think, and what you carry into practice, because the two are synonymous. What you think about yourself and others, you will act out, or you will carry into practice. So if you think you're nothing, many of us have been afflicted by people telling us, oh, you'll never amount to anything. You can't do this. You can't, all these terrible things that have a lot of us have been told that were meant to limit us. And many of us, transcended above that and decided that that wasn't going to be our reality. Somebody was speaking negative to us. And I've been there. Someone was cursing us, whether they acknowledged it or knew it or not, unbeknownst to them, perhaps in their ignorance. And many of us have also invoked negative things upon ourselves out of a lack of knowledge, and have said things that were harmful or hurtful to ourselves and others. But remember that when you say those things, that those words carry power and frequency. So do the reverse. Always speak good, always speak positive, always speak high vibrating words to yourself and others. Think high vibrating words when you are thinking of yourself and others. So, like I said, you are what you think, and you carry into practice. So if you think you're nothing, then you will be acting out your nothingness. If you think you're a failure, or if you think any of those negative words, but I don't even want to use them, if you think that, then that's what you will be manifesting and acting out in your life. So if you want to change, you change from within. Start with your mind and your heart, and changing your life and yourself, and think and say positive. Don't talk about the limitations. Don't talk about the lack. When you're speaking to someone else, be mindful of that, how you are talking to them, what you're saying. Are the words motivating, inspiring? The names that you're giving yourself, what you are calling yourself, and what you're identifying with. Is that something that gives life? Is it uplifting? Is it powerful? When you're addressing other people, take the time to get to know that person's name and pronounce it correctly. And remember that this name is them. And so when you're talking to them, or you're addressing somebody, you think about the terms of endearment that you're using when you're addressing people that you say you care about. Are you using derogatory terms? Are you using words of power, joyful words? Are you using words that are pleasant and pleasing to the ear, that are uplifting? How would you want to be addressed? And think about that when you address other people like you, that are in the group that you identify with. Think about that. If you don't want to be called certain things, don't call other people that, period. you know um, is stop the negative name calling, and many of us have been reclassified, different ethnic groups have been, and racial groups have been reclassified. And now there's a great movement. People are studying their genealogy and discovering that some of the things and some of the identities that they thought they had, they are discovering that they don't, or they're discovering new ones. And with the new discoveries comes a new reclassification, and comes a new classification, I should say, and comes new names, new identities. So keep that in mind too. Like, what do you want to be called, and what does it mean? A lot of people of color have been given names by the imperial ruling parties and the colonizers, and these names were not accurate reflections of them. Some of the names they were given were mispronunciations of their collective identity, or anglicized versions of their identities. Some of the names they were given were derogatory, and those names stuck. However, many people, especially people of color and indigenous people worldwide, are changing the names that they've been classified as, because those are not the names that they call themselves, and those are not the names that they identify with, which is wonderful. And it's very empowering to do that, because you are taking your power back. The power is in the name. The name was changed, the name was taken from them, the name was reclassified. So they're taking that power back and classifying themselves and choosing their own names. So remember, you are your name. You are what you think, you are what you carry into practice. So many people who call themselves names of power, are you living up to that name? There's a sister, Ciasia, a beautiful Ciasia. She always used to use that phrase, a queen by any means. So remember who you are, who do you say you are, and are you living up to that? When choosing names for yourself, or your children, or just your everyday life, remember that you're making a name for yourself as you live your life, because like I said, your name will carry your legacy. There's people who lived thousands and maybe even millions of years ago, and they are still being honored today and still being spoken of, because they left a legacy, they left behind something tangible. They're more than just noble ancestors, but they left a name behind, a name that people can honor and praise. And that's what we have to remember. We are our ancestors. We are someone's ancestor, and they are going to be invoking and calling our names. And what name have we left behind? We don't want to be that unnamed, unknown ancestor that was forgotten in the sands of time. We want to leave a legacy of brilliance behind. And as we live, give people their flowers while they live. And then all of us, we need to be those um, powerful people that we say we are, and we are, while we live. you know Make that name for yourself, make that legacy for yourself. And remember that when we are choosing names, because names have so much power and so much vibration in them. So I hope you all enjoyed this brief meeting this morning, this rising, and I look forward to our others. We got some other guests lined up coming in the near future. Been a lot of changes in the schedule, so I've been making it lives when the time permits, and we're always in time. So have a wonderful day, create a peaceful day, love, peace, and harmony, and good health to each and every one of you.